Hey guys, I'm sorry.
Folders to that period. How can I copy those same folders to the other classes?
Okay, good question. All right, so to copy folder structures, you will just go to wherever you have the folders sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And then next to the folder, there's the little gear. And that is, that gives you lots of different options, but one of them is copy to courses.
Nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And you can select the courses that you want this to go into and the folder that you want it to go into.
Nice.
Okay,
Okay. That's easy. All right. Thank you.
sure. The only exception to that rule, let me clarify real quick, is if you do a Google Drive assignment where it's making a copy for each student. It will copy the assignment, but it's not going to copy the attachment for that student. You actually have to go in and physically reattach it to every post. Okay?
How's that again? Okay.
So remember in Google Classroom where we did make a copy for each student because we wanted them to go in and complete a slide or complete a Google Doc, right? Those are the only items. You can go ahead and copy them, but the little attachment won't copy over.
Okay, the little attachment won't copy over.
Yep. We're hoping that gets fixed and it's a glitch, but it's a big glitch.
So it's just anything from Google Drive won't make an attachment for anybody.
If it's that, yeah, if you've
From Google
asked it to
Drive.
make a copy for each student, yes. If you're just giving them a preview of it in the actual directions, it doesn't, that's okay. It's that make a copy that doesn't work.
So Anna, how do we make a copy for each student then?
Okay,
Do we have to
so
go copy or?
inside of your materials, when you're creating your assignments, if I call this a practice assignment, right? I have to use this option. This is the only option that will actually create a copy for every student that I want turned back in. They'll go in just like Google Classroom. They'll open it, they can edit it, they can submit it.
That won't take them to our drive?
Nope.
That doesn't take them to our drive.
Yeah, if you're using Assign from Google
Assign from
Drive,
app.
you're good.
Can you recommend either a good tutorial or video that shows how to embed our Bitmoji classroom in there? And then if we don't want to have the links on that slide, like how to add those buttons underneath that I keep seeing?
Okay, so I want to clarify that because the Bitmoji is okay to be using. What I do worry a little bit about are those buttons, because what the district wants us to do when we're setting up all these classes is that when the parents hit these classes, they're not seeing something different for every class, and then they have to figure out where they're going to go to get assignments. Okay, so everybody's going to have a welcome message. And so as long as it says your name and how to contact you and all the stuff that that welcome message should have, you're good. What I'm a little concerned about are adding those buttons, because then that becomes a sub-layer that parents are like, well, do I have to go to this or do I go to the folder? Okay, that's why we're asking, well, we didn't. That's why CNI said, I really need you to create these folder structures because we don't want kids having to figure out where they go. They need to go to first 9 weeks, Monday, there you go, right? So
I just meant more for like general class information, like a link to your syllabus or where the recommendation is then to include that on the Schoology course. Where should we be putting that ideally?
So you could put it in a couple of places. You could do this in the updates because those would kind of almost be like a stream. You could keep it there. If you want, you can, like you'll see my, my little Bitmoji does sit at the top of my page. You could do it there. And then you could also put the, I'm trying to think. You could put the syllabus up here in this area above the week folders. But again, I I would be very, very careful how much stuff you put above this, because remember, we don't want our parents to be super confused. I would almost recommend that you put it below the folder structures that are published for the week. So like you wouldn't see all of these because I've unpublished them. So students are only going to see the week that they're working in. I'm not going to have all these other weeks published yet. So you may want to put your syllabus and stuff below that folder so we're not confusing parents and students as to where to go. Does that help? Does that make sense? Use a page to insert those if you want. If that's the other question too, you can just use a page or a link.
Oh, Anna, in the box that's over there on the left, where you have your Bitmoji classroom, I thought we had to use those district ones.
You do.
We do. Okay.
Yep, this is my Sandbox.
So okay. So if I had gone in and put that, I just go into edit picture and change it that way. Okay.
I'm really, really hoping that they're going to loosen that up later on. But again, it's this fact that we're not seeing our kids and we can't train them face to face. They're trying to eliminate any inconsistencies. They want everything to look very similar, you know, so that whether you have a 6th grader, 7th grader, 8th grader, high schooler, they're going to hit this and they're all going to kind of know where to go. So if we're all changing it, making it look different, changing titles and courses, it's going to confuse people. That's the message that we're hearing.
So your Sandbox can have that picture, but your courses need to have the Northside approved tiles.
Correct.
Okay. And then I have one more question. I teach ALE, so I teach multiple subjects. And so on my Schoology account, all my courses, I have so many just because it's all broken up by 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So I have for each subject, for all the 8 subjects that I teach, it's all broken up by 6th, 7th, and 8th. Is there any way, or is there anything that you recommend as to how I sort this out? Would you recommend that maybe just have everybody go, you know, once the students log in, do they just go to my Sandbox and maybe have all subjects within the Sandbox? Or can I do like just groups? What is something that you recommend to better not make it so overwhelming? And easier for me too to just put things where they need to go, and so I can accommodate and differentiate my work.
You're in a very special situation with the ALE group. Anyway, I may have to get with you and talk through a couple of options. But
Okay.
Schoology, they are meeting with Schoology today to link those courses and
Okay.
kind of collapse things. I don't know what the result's going to be, but that's something that we've been saying from the get-go, that we can't have all these different sections because the interaction in there then is limited, right? If I have a stacked class, but they're all in my first period, I only have 4 kids in this section, 3 kids in this section, 10 kids in this. They can't interact with each other online.
Right.
So we've made that very clear, and they are supposed to be figuring out how to stack those so that you're not seeing quite as many courses on that dashboard.
Okay. I guess after this, can we set up a time that maybe you and I can just kind of get together and go through this?
Yep.
Okay,
for sure.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
How
Anna,
we can move the order. Oh, sorry.
it's okay.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Anna. I have just a couple things, and maybe similar things. So for ELA, you know, we have the block classes. Do I need to duplicate everything in 2nd and 3rd? Because that's also going to be confusing, because my 2nd, 3rd kids are my same kids. So really, they only need to go to 2nd period. They don't need to go to 3rd period to get stuff. So can they clean that up some way so that we really only have, and we talked about this with TAC and all that for a couple of years, and I think they fixed that, but they fixed it in TAC. But if this is my block, I don't really need to duplicate everything into 3rd period. It's all in 2nd period.
Correct. I think where you may have to have the issue is the attendance piece, because I don't know with this virtual if they're going to require you to do attendance in both sections. That's something that we're trying to get clarified for the block people.
But are we taking attendance in TAC or in Schoology?
In TAC?
Okay, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fine. That's not a problem. But just in Schoology, I shouldn't have to be duplicating 2nd and 3rd period.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't. But I'm gonna, like I said, we sent that out. That's a part of that also stacked courses and combining of courses, just like they did in TAC. They put those two together so you didn't have to go to second and then third to do grades. That's what they're trying to figure out. I would also say anybody who's in that situation, when you guys go to your district pullouts, you need to make very, very clear what you're seeing on your dashboard and how that needs to look for you guys to function appropriately, so that they can also send the same consistent message we're sending to our department and to CNI too. So when you go to those pullouts, this is where you're also going to bring up those kind of issues with all these different sections and things. Okay.
Okay, and this question should be for the greater good.
Mm-hmm.
So we have our groups. So we have our, in Schoology, our PLC has a group. If I'm responsible for making a document for my group weekly, like the WAG, the Week at a Glance, and I'm going to upload that to my group so everybody can get it, do I upload that to my group's resources and everybody can get to it? Or is it just better if I just email it to everybody?
You can put it in the group resources. You can definitely do that, because when you go in and you add materials or add an assignment or whatever, you should be able to go in and add from, you should be able to pull it into your course. I've got to go back through the steps, but yeah, they can actually access those from the group folder and be able to move those resources around.
Oh, awesome.
So
Okay.
see, add to course. I can
Okay.
take whatever you've put in my group and add it to my course.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
I have a question. Can we add, oh, so in my situation as a GT specialist, I'm a collab teacher with another science teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And they call it that push-in. So they're going to meet with her every day, where they're supposed to be meeting with the both of us every day. But when I look at my courses under Schoology, I don't have the 8th grade science on here.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's that collab situation. They are working on collapsing those classes. So
Okay.
what will happen is the regular ed will add the co-teacher into that class, and you will become admins together in that class.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's something that's done. We don't do that. Something else, somebody else does.
Well, yeah, they're gonna merge those. The district's gonna merge
Okay.
those, but the person in charge, the teacher of record for the whole class, will have to add you as that collab. They're not gonna do that at district level. They're not adding you as an admin. The teacher of record is adding the collab teacher.
So like in Google Classroom, like if I open a Google Classroom, I can add another teacher in it with me.
Yep.
So she just needs to add me to her Schoology.
Add you and turn you to an admin.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a question. I don't know if it got answered earlier because I just came on, but I've been putting together my folders, and the sample middle school folder that they showed us, that they gave us, and then the sample that you just had with the 9 weeks are a little different. So is there, does folks get to choose, or should we be doing what you just showed?
You're doing the one that you got in that 1 hour follow-up, the folder structure there. I believe it's the week of, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This was my Sandbox course that I was playing with foldering structures to see how I could move them around.
Okay, so but that one is different from the one that they sent us too, because so we have the week of August, but that is it. There isn't like a week first 9 weeks, and then you have to go into that folder, and then you do week 1 of that.
Yeah, so I think what I added on mine was like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday folder, right, is what you're asking?
So let me show you what they, can I just share real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I have to change you.
Yes.
Okay.
And I also had a second question. I read that if you do a video on Schoology, like with their stuff, that it goes away after 7 days.
Oh, when they use the add file, add video, that I've not heard, that it will actually go away.
Okay.
But I can verify for you.
Okay. I was just thinking, I mean, I'm going to do everything in my drive anyways, but
Mhm.
so this is what they sent us with the middle school sample. And then it has the slide, but then our materials are just the week and then course info. There's no giant
9-week.
week folder.
No,
So
yeah, you don't have to have the first 9-week folder from what I'm understanding. That was the original folder structure that the CNI had pushed.
Okay.
They changed it to week of and then the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like this. Mhm.
okay, cool. Okay, good. Ha! Because I'm trying to get my video done and it's like, but I don't have all the information.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool.
But do you think it would hurt to go ahead and leave it by leave a 9 weeks there?
I would do it the way they're telling us to do it.
I would for the first 9 weeks, leave it like it is, the way that they're showing. What I'm thinking is going to happen is when the first 9 weeks is over, what they may want you to do then is like move that whole week into a 9 weeks folder and then you'll have your next week. But for right now, I would just do this first week. I wouldn't go crazy. Do it exactly like they're showing you, week of, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then that week at a glance too. It has to be in there. Mm-hmm.
Now, are those, can I ask a question? And probably a stupid question, but so we have one big folder and it's the week of the 24th through the 28th.
Mhm.
Within that folder, we have the Monday through Friday folders.
Mhm.
So we're not creating like extra Monday. It's a folders within a folder.
Yes.
Oh, I had a question. So we don't have to do, the banner like we did with Classroom. We don't have to do this for Schoology. Okay, good.
Yeah, Schoology is pushing your banners and Schoology is pushing your course titles. They're asking that you don't change those right now. They are looking, like I said, at collapsing things and changing that, but they want parents to have a very consistent view across the top. They don't want any confusion about where they need to go. So the naming conventions are all going to be the exact same so that regardless of if a parent has, like I said, middle, high school, elementary, they're going to see the same structure. I'm hoping that relaxes y'all. I really am, but I get why they're doing it. It makes a lot of sense from a parent perspective if you're trying to help your kiddo, right? But it doesn't look pretty. Like I'm really sad because I want my Bitmoji banner up there. So
Really nervous about the sharing of I just thought maybe it had a component where we shared it like we did with the Google Classroom, but how do we know if they actually got whatever we're sharing with them?
So you mean like an assignment or?
We put in our digital notebook in there.
Yes.
And we shared it with them, and because they all have to make.
Okay. So one thing that we did not have in Google Classroom that you guys are actually going to have an option for. Again, this is just my sandbox. I've been playing with it. I've changed a lot of things that y'all aren't going to see. But when you have kids join your course now, what you can do is under here, you should see a drop-down box that says course option and view as. I can actually go in if I'm concerned that a kid is not seeing something that they should, you can actually go in and view it as one of the students to see what they're going to see in that assignment.
So how would the interactive notebook be set up in there? Because it's a daily thing. It's not like just it's going to be throughout the year.
So we've had, remind me, science? Are you science or which one are you?
ELA.
ELA, okay. I think they're going to discuss that at the pullout. Interactive notebooks have been a huge topic for all the departments. What I'm recommending is doing like a unit notebook rather than a year-long notebook, because the problem with notebooks is each page needs to change, right? Like we need to add pages to it. So are you going to be able to plan an entire year's notebook and push it to the kids and then they have access all year long? Or would it be easier for you to create like mini notebooks that then they can work from?
I like that idea better.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there an extension for that the kids can do it?
It doesn't work very well.
Oh, okay.
And it's a lot of steps. So remember, One of the things I want y'all to be super careful with is adding additional things we have to train our kids on. It was so much easier when we had them in class with Google Classroom to train them on things. You're going to be solely responsible for training them on things that are not within Schoology. So if you're going to build out a notebook that adds pages, you may find yourself in this loop of having to train kids how to do that. And at this point, we really want to try and just teach them Schoology and how to get that attendance piece and complete assignments that are in there, right? So make it pretty easy.
Would there be,
Sorry, go ahead.
would there be an area for them to put notes? Like if we give them a bank of literary terms or rhetorical devices.
They're constant.
Oops. What was that? Sorry.
Somebody was saying something.
Yeah, I didn't hear. What was the question? Go ahead, Sharon.
Okay. So if we're giving them notes and telling them to refer to these, what's the best setup for them to be able to write things down or have paper to copy, to paste it on? So we tell them have a composition book, right? And we put the notes in there and then they can write it as we're going. What if there are things that they should copy in? Or we'll just tell them, you need to write these down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you could basically create a, interactive notebook page assignment and give them a page that they're supposed to work on each day. You could do that. And that might work. That way they're opening the assignment, completing the interactive notebook page and submitting it to you. Rather than them having to go into this large book and flip through pages to try and figure out which assignment or which page they're working on.
So Anna, are you saying the digital notebooks and Google Slides, you're understanding they don't work well, or you think they're too difficult for the kids to do?
You cannot update the interactive notebook and add slides to it once you've given kids their own copy. Okay.
But they can insert a page, right?
But they can insert the page, so it would be a training piece on your part to ensure they know how to do that. Yes.
So if we give them a digital notebook, we give them a big original one, which is what we've created. We give them a big original one. What we share with them stays the same. It stays static from our end. So they just have to, we can send them an assignment, for example, that says, insert this slide or create a slide and add this. But we aren't able to manipulate it any other way. Is that what I'm understanding?
That is the easiest way, yes. I think that there's a couple of add-ons and extensions, but I'm seeing that they're not working appropriately.
Okay.
They just add that slide to their drive if they want to, and anything we give them on a page, they can add it to their drive. Is that right? Okay.
So maybe teaching them to create folders within their drive would be a better option?
I'm trying to think through that. It depends on how you create the assignment. So remember, when we're creating an assignment, the add assignment option, it will create the file for them if we're using this. So like I have a template that I want to give them for the day. Maybe it's one page, maybe it's a whole book. If I attach it using Assign from Google Drive Assignments, it will push a copy of that whole book to them that they can open and edit and change. Kind of like what we used to do in Google Classroom, where it was make a copy for each student. That's where this exists in Schoology.
Just to make sure I'm clear on that. So just in order to, again, you've mentioned that to kind of assign something from Google Drive to each student, it's possible. We just need to go in there and manually do it ourselves for each assignment.
Each assignment, yes.
Okay, so it is doable. It's just manual form.
Yes. You have to literally attach it using
Attach.
this.
Okay, just wanted for clarification.
Since you're in there, Anna, up at the toolbar there, like next to where it says description, is there a reason why there's the link, see where it says add link, but then there's also insert content, there's link in there as well? Because I couldn't figure out the difference.
Yeah, so this is more like a hyperlink. So I could actually, if I did directions and then I wanted to link it to something, I could use a hyperlink there. So
Right, but that still exists inside the insert content. There's a hyperlink option.
So if I go to insert link and I put, so that it just shows up a little differently, okay?
Okay.
And I hit
I just
insert.
didn't know if there was, I would use one in one instance versus the other. I didn't know.
Yeah,
what the
it just, that one is, but what you really want to use in here that's a little different is adding images, and media will actually insert it into this page so the kids will see it all here rather than attaching it down at the bottom. So if I wanted to insert an image, yes, that's where you could do it and it would appear here.
So would you use that kind of, you wanted them to have a view-only access to certain Google documents?
But yeah, that they just need to access, but they're not going to do anything. Yes, they're going to click on that. And like, let's say I just wanted them a view-only copy of an assignment. I could click on this one. And
you click on what? You said click on that. What is that?
Like whatever I want to give them.
Okay.
View of it,
But
right?
prior to that, you said.
Oh.
If we want them to have a view only copy, we click on the insert content. Okay.
And then the Google Drive.
And then pick it out.
Pick it out. And the worst part about this whole Google Drive thing is that you don't see your folders right away. So you can use this search button, I find is a little bit easier to find the title of something. And then here you have, do I want to import a link? Do I want to import a private link? I like this import embed because what it's going to do is put the whole file as a preview into this assignment, which is really neat. So I'm going to import embed. And you see how this turns into a little yellow window? When the kids look at this, what they're going to see are my directions, any links I have, but then they're going to see an actual preview of the document without having to click out of this assignment. It'll sit right here on this assignment page.
On that first week, if we want them to do a slide of all about themselves, like their names or whatever, and we've already done a template for them, can they make a copy of that template and then turn around and give us the slide back?
You put it here. You put the template here, not up here. So you would go here, and let's say now I want them to have their own copy. I'm going to attach it that way. And you see how when I attach it using this app down here, see what happens here? It says this will create a copy for each student.
So then when they turn it in, if we have 20 kids in our class, if they turn it in, we're going to get 20 slides. Or
Yes.
20 of whatever they made.
Just like in Google Classroom, yes.
So it would be better instead of it being attached to multiple slides that we, the welcome slides, we just send them the one slide with the template. So does that make sense? That matter.
I may have to get with you on that one because I would say that if you want them to turn something in, that you can, that this would be the way you want to do this. If you've already made the template and you want them to fill it out and turn it into you, then I would recommend that this is the way that you create the assignment and give it to them.
It's that template like y'all did with Summer Innovation, where it was the Foursquare.
Yeah.
So, and I had attached it to like a welcome PowerPoint that I had.
Okay.
So I should actually just create that one slide to share with them so that when they, okay.
Yeah, or you're going to have to teach them how to share it back with you and attach it to an assignment.
How do we do a Google form?
Okay, a Google form is the only one that doesn't work like it used to in Google Classroom. You attach the Google form as a link. So you will get sent, you know how you use that send form option and it gives you the link? You attach it like that and the kids will open the form, complete it, and submit it. The problem is nowhere in Schoology will it tell you it's been submitted. Okay, it doesn't communicate like Google Classroom did. So you just have to check the submissions in the form.
But we'll still receive the data that we need and all
Yep.
that, right?
Yep, yep.
Are students receiving a step-by-step how to navigate through Schoology?
They are going to get the basics. Okay, so on the NISD page, and y'all guys should have gotten this. I think it came out in Woods' Weekly, but I know y'all get 5,000 emails. So on the home page here, they're going to go to Getting Back to School. And then as they scroll down, there's this virtual learning hub. Okay, and they're going to click on that. And parents and students will start to find like videos and resources and things that'll help them navigate Schoology. Okay. They're
Those
going to
already
get the
started
basics.
coming out. Yeah, they already started coming out. Several of us have kids, so we sat down and started looking at it last night. It's pretty intuitive to them. It's pretty intuitive for them where to click and what to do. It's not. It doesn't look like rocket science. They're still going to be a little confused, but it's not too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
On the notebook thing, I have a question.
Sure, go for it.
So if you're doing the Google form, then it can't be an assignment then inside of Schoology.
It can be an assignment. Just know that it's not going to auto grade it and put it back into Schoology for you. You'll have to go in and physically in Schoology transfer those grades that they made from the form. Does that make sense?
But it wouldn't show like completed or not, correct?
So students are going to be seeing TAC and Schoology grades?
So the reason that, so I'd sent like a little email in the background about the categories. One of the things that they purchased this for was when you put grades in Schoology, those grades are supposed to communicate with TAC. So if you get it in Schoology nightly, those grades are going to be pushed and updated to your TAC, which is going to be really good.
Can you make it as a discussion that you're grading and add that to it and it'll transfer as a grade?
Yes, yes. Anything that you attach here when you're making an assignment, so will turn into, let me see. If I go to, let me just see if I get this one. Trying to figure out which one it was that I would say that you would do. You would still want to do add assignment. And then you would want to use the link option to attach the link to the form.
Okay.
Okay, and what it would do is it will create a spot in your grade book for this form.
Okay.
You would then just physically have to go into Schoology and put in 180, 70, whatever they did when they turned it in. The same with the discussion. Even if you attached the form to the discussion, you still have to go into the discussion and mark grades for each kid's discussion post. Does that make sense? Clear as mud, right? So yeah, the form does not communicate with Schoology at all. If you use a form, just know that you have to transfer those grades either into a Schoology assignment or into TAC. Okay, one or the other.
So we can like attach the form and then just kind of have a question of what grade did you make, or if we really wanted to trust them, but that would kind of inform us that they took the form test, and then we can either go and look at the actual information or take their word for it.
Yeah, you still have to go into that Google form some way, shape, or form to get their score. Either way, yeah.
Within the grade of Schoology, is it going to show us the data that we need in the grade book?
I wish I could tell you more about the grade book, but they have shut a lot of it down. So in Gradebook, this is what you would see. For every assignment that you create, a column will appear just like Gradebook. Okay. You will select the grading period so that you can view all the assignments for that grading period in your Schoology. And if I needed to grade anything, that's kind of where you could go to grade or look at your grades. Okay, so if I wanted to edit this one.
Statistics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we put grades in Schoology, not in TAC.
Okay, that's a really great question. You can do both. All right. What the complaint was with Google Classroom is I was putting all of these grades in Google Classroom to show kids that things were graded, right? But then I would still have to go into TAC and grade it, right? The beauty of Schoology is if you put the grade in Schoology, TAC will get transferred to TAC. So if you're going to take a grade and it's not an assignment in Schoology, then it'll be your responsibility to go into TAC, create the assignment, and put the grade in. Okay, Schoology isn't going to just pick up an assignment that hasn't had a grade entered for it. So just know it either needs to be created in Schoology or created in TAC. So you have both options.
They want to put all the assignments in there. Like if we put an assignment that we're not going to grade, it's not going to show assignment in TAC unless we push the button of to grade it, right?
Correct. You have to sign it up as a graded assignment. If it's not a graded assignment, it's not going to go to TAC.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In that 3-hour training, or it was one of the ones because they all seem to kind of like be fading on each other.
Yes.
So there's one option where you can use the rubric to grade. Is that a rubric that you generate in Schoology, or if you have your own rubric, can you just upload it and then have it as that little where you can just click on the numbers and it grades it? It adds up the numbers.
I'm going to have to look again, but I don't think that you can upload like a PDF rubric and it converts it for you. It's kind of like the assessment feature in Schoology. If you want the Schoology assessment to be graded, you have to create the assessment in Schoology. So I think it's the same with the rubric. If you want a rubric, you're going to have to build the columns, build the point values, and then use that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And if people are using Google Sites for their interactive notebooks, how is that the same as just having through slides?
Yes.
Okay.
And a quick question.
Sure.
So let's say I create an assignment and the student submits it, and I can go ahead and do that from my area.
Mm-hmm.
Does the grade transfer automatically to this gradebook section page, or I have to manually come back to here and enter that grade?
So if you've created it as an assignment, so let me jump over to one that has an assignment in it.
Yeah, thanks.
Mm-hmm. And just ignore my folder structure. This is my sandbox I was playing. Right. So let me see if I got somebody who's put in information. Oh. Let me jump over as my daughter and add an attachment to this so that you guys can see how you can add the grade once they've submitted it. All right, let me jump back over to my screen. So you'll see here that in the discussion, now I've got a 1 here. That means one of my students submitted it and it's ready for me to come look at it. So I'll click on it and then I will come over here. And then it says the student discussion has not been graded yet. So I can open it. Oh, shoot. This may not have been one because you're probably wanting assignment. It's still loading, sorry. It's coming in and loading.
But let's say that was actually the procedure, right? You go into that section and you enter a grade, which is what you showed us right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you enter the grade,
It will communicate over to the gradebook. Yes, it transfers over. So every time you put a grade on the assignment, it goes straight into that gradebook. Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then second question. So let's say I create a tutoring schedule for my group, right? And I put that on my Sandbox or anything like that. Do I have to first create the group so that they can receive the link for the Google form for the tutoring schedule, or I can just send it to them via email?
Okay, thank you.
So let's say I create a Google form for a tutoring schedule.
Yeah.
And I want to go ahead and share it with my group.
Mm-hmm.
Do I just post that on my Sandbox and then just share it like that? Or how do I do that?
So you're talking about like your PLC?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me jump into that one. Yeah, groups function a little different than classroom. So you'll go to your group, and I believe it's under resources. And I would create a resource for them and add that link. So you would go into the group and put it in as a resource link, and then they'll have access to it.
Okay, but that's under my Sandbox, right?
No, that's under groups.
That's under groups. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the wrong category.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
the Sandbox is like a play course. If I wanted to play with something and see what a kid might see or what an assignment might look like, I could use my Sandbox to do that.
So then the link would go into each individual course for it to be accessible.
No, the groups are functioning for your PLCs only. If you want something to go into a course, you need to build it into the course. So maybe I was misunderstanding the question.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, I'm sorry, I have a third question.
Sure.
So let's say I create an assignment, right? And I want to go ahead and add something from a Google Drive, from a drive. And it gives you the option to go ahead and state the date and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Can I copy that same assignment to other classes from that particular page where it gives you the date and description and whatnot?
No, you have to wait till after you've posted it. And then you'll be able to go in and make a copy or copy it to courses. So you have to create the assignment first. And then once it's sitting in your class, that's when you'll get this little gear where you can copy to your different courses.
But not in that particular description area. You have to wait until it posts. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but then you said though we have to, if it's something where we want every kid to have a copy, that won't get copied over. We have to then go into each individual course and add, right?
Yeah, go back in and reattach that document on that assignment.
From there, yeah, that Google Drive. Okay.
And that's what they mean, like you can differentiate, like your high flyers, you can give them something that's asking a little bit more. Or the accommodations, you can just take out a couple of questions and the other students won't know. It won't be a one size fits all kind of, that's when that part comes in, right?
Yes.
Where you have to assign it, and if you had to do that, how do you do that?
Don't we have to
I was
create groups
about that. What's that?
Yes. So in Google Classroom, remember how when you would create an assignment and then you would have to check mark, I want it to go to this kid, this kid, this kid, and send it to them only? In your Schoology course, you can go into any Schoology course and look at your members tab. And when you're in this tab and you see all your kids listed, there's going to be an option to add what's called a grading group. So I can actually pre-assign kids to a group. This is going to work beautifully for our collab teachers who are in our courses. So I can create a group of just those 10 kids that are going to need that modified assignment so that when I create those assignments, I can assign it just to that grading group of kids. and then give the other grading group, my regulars, a different assignment. And I'll have to send y'all that. There's a whole section on grading groups, which is really cool.
So a question on that. If we have our spec ed kids in the class and we have to create 2 different assignments, when we create 2 different assignments, they're going to be posted separately only for their view, or all students view it?
When you use the grading group, it only goes to those kids. If
Okay.
you create the assignment and assign it to all kids, it goes to every kid in the class. Okay. The only time it differentiates is if you assign it to a grading group. So because your collab kids are a part of the whole group class, if I assign assignment to all kids, it's going to go to them too. If I assign it to grading group collab, it'll go just to my collab. That means I need to probably create a regulars group, grading group 2, if that makes sense. So that's going to be very special for probably my collab people. And we're supposed to be doing some follow-up training with you guys on that.
In Google Classroom, you can place an assignment for all the students and then select if another student received a different assignment, for example, for spec ed or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
We can also select different students for different assignments in Schoology, right?
Mm-hmm. Let me show you. So inside of the assignment, there's this individually assigned to.
Oh, okay.
So
when a kid doesn't do an assignment, we can assign just those couple of kids the assignment again.
correct. You can go in and create makeup assignment and then type in the student's name and give it to that kid. So you would literally, though, have to type in. So I would use that very cautiously. Like if it's like a handful, that would be pretty easy, right?
Right.
But, and then if I had a grading group, you see how it says begin typing the name of the course member or the grading group. So if I had a group of 10 kids called collab, I could type in collab and it will populate right here.
And for that, you have to create the grading group?
Mm-hmm. You have to create the group first. And that's under members. And I'll send y'all that information. Y'all can kind of go through that piece.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
So right now, our collab classes are separate from our regular class. Are you saying that they're going to combine those 2?
It was kind of the situation that we ran into in Google Classroom. We can't have those kids sitting separately because it is least restrictive environment, right? They're supposed to be collapsing those collab classes for you guys so that they can interact with the same students.
So we don't have 10 courses.
Correct.
Okay.
Is there any way to say if you assign something and you want it graded because you want the kids to have graded feedback, but you're not necessarily going to want every single one of those to go into TAC? Is there a way to tell it not to push to TAC? Or no, not really?
Okay, let me see. I think they just added that button. It was not an option recently, but I think it is now an option. I think right here is the sync to sys option. That's your, that should be
Awesome.
what it goes to, yeah.
So they still get feedback, but then it's not necessarily going to go.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when we do a retest and we want the original grade removed or to update with the highest grade? How would we work that?
Okay.
When we use TAC, because that's where they're gonna be pulling for the progress reports and report cards.
So that's a good question. What I need to find out for sure is I know in TAC, what you could do is you can go in and make a comment and override a grade. Here's my concern with that is if it's synced with your Schoology and you don't make the change in Schoology, it's going to nightly update and potentially change that grade back to what it originally was in TAC or in Schoology. Because remember, we're pulling the grades from one into another. So if it's not changed over here and it pulls in over here, it may override it. nightly. So I'm trying to think if that unchecking from SIS would work, but I would think that you would want to do kind of what, I don't think it'll hold on to the old grades, because you can give it back to the kids. Once they've submitted it, you have the ability to return it to them, and they can they can redo the assignment. And then you can do the regrade right there, but I'm not sure it holds on to the past grades.
So I have a question. So when for daily work, kids don't get the option of redoing it in our subject, but in there it says like they have up to 3 times. Is there a way to disable that?
Are you talking about the assessment piece?
Yes.
Okay.
Where if they don't like the grade, they can just resubmit it.
Yes, you should be in the assessment. I think that's the only place where you can set the number of attempts they get on an assignment. But I believe unless you, so it doesn't work like Google Classroom. Remember what we had to do is in order for them to see the grade in Google Classroom, we had to return it to them. And what was happening is the kids were like, oh, you returned it? I'm going to redo it. And you're like, no, I don't want it back. In Schoology, you can give them the grade and they should see the grade without you having to return anything to them. So that should alleviate that. I don't want everybody to do a regrade. I only want these 5 to redo it, so I'm going to send it back to them.
Yeah, because some of them have on their IEPs have to do it for until a 70, but and this is better because not all the kids see that they have that. So you would just put it in when you put the grade, when you put the assignment in, you just give 1 attempt and then just deselect the other ones. Okay.
Because as a teacher, I can say, you get to do it again. You get to
And
do it again.
when you send it back, can you send them the new or updated copy, the revised retest? Instead of sending them back the original, can you send them the update? How would you do that? Because we don't typically give them the same test back.
You don't want to edit the original assignment because it would send it to all the kids. So I would think in there, you may want to create a brand new. Let me find out for sure. Let me play with that because I haven't played with that piece. If you can actually just attach a brand new doc and send it to one kid once the assignment has been posted for everybody. I don't think you can do that. So let me verify that. I'll write down resubmit options. All right, guys. That was a lot of questions. That was good, though. Hopefully, I got a few of them answered for you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Guys, just know that I'm also available. If you just need some individual help, just email me or take a look at my Book Me site and schedule some time if you want to work through any of this one-on-one, okay? Because we can get y'all set up, ready to go, whatever you need, okay?
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I have one more question.
Sure.
So I can't find it now. I've forgotten what it was called. The tiles, the course tiles. Who sent that to us? Did you send that to us?
The course tiles.
The ones
No, it's Mr. Alvarado was supposed to send it out. I'm not sure if we've gotten them yet, Ms. Toda.
I think
It's in the follow-up lesson. In that follow-up Schoology, they give you a link that you go to the course files and download it.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay. I had one more question. How do we get access to book an appointment with you?
Okay, so all of the emails that you receive from me at the bottom of my signature line, there'll be a Book Me site.
Okay.
But the direct link is annasexton.youcanbook.me.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.